Hi, this is my Juniper SRX initial configuration video. I'll be showing you how to get a Juniper gateway up and running once you've taken out of the box, so a factory default SRX device. I'm using the device in front of you, which is an SRX 110A model, which consists of 8 fast Ethernet ports, these ones here, a WAN port for ADSL VDSL connection, console port for management purposes, and there's also a 3G connection which you can use as a backup WAN connection. I'll be using an Ethernet port for management purposes, but you can also use this console port here. On the device, ports FE001 to here to FE007. These are switch ports in a VLAN, so they all share the same. They are within the same broadcast domain, and configured in a security zone called Trust. And the VLAN interface is assigned an IP address of 192.168.1.1, so you can reach the IP through any of these ports. By default, the DHCP server is enabled on the Layer 3 VLAN interface as well. So if you plug into any of these ports from FE001 to FE007, you'll get an IP address assigned in the 192.168.10/24 range. The gateway itself, of course, is the 192.168.1.1, so that's what we will be connecting to. So as long as my laptop is listening for DHCP, it's automatically assigned to look for an IP address, then it will be assigned an IP address in that range. You can also take these out of Layer 2 switch port mode, so these ports. I'll be showing you that in another video, so you can put them into a Layer 3 routed interface, so you can use them as routed interfaces and assign them IP addresses individually if you wanted to. Also, security zones, which I'll cover in a later video as well. They're basically used to group one or more interfaces, then security policies and other settings are applied to security zones. So you might have an internal zone, DMZ zone, and an internet zone, and security policies are created between them, which interfaces are bound to. By default, the internal zone or your internal network, they've called it trust, and the external or the internet or the WAN, they've called it untrust. Also by default, there's a source NAT to untrust zone interface is also configured so users can get out to the internet using a single public IP address. So once we go through the wizard, get the SRX up and running, these settings are configured by default. In this video, I'll only be showing you how to get it up and running, and then we can go and have a look at the interface in another video. So there's a couple of security policies as well configured by default, which allows trust to untrust zone traffic, which is basically internal to out to the internet, but denies the other way, so denies untrust zone to trust zone traffic. And this single this single port here, FE000, is configured in the security zone untrust, so the internet side, and is assigned as a DHCP client, so it's there to receive an IP address if you connect it to an ISP, for example. So I'll plug my cable in to the my laptop, which is connected to the SRX on this port here. So it's plugged in now, and if we open up a command prompt, I'll just make sure we've got an IP address in the 192.168.1.024 range, which it has, which is 192.168.1.3. So it should be good to go. We should be able to connect to the JWeb interface and configure the SRX device. So if we open up Mozilla Firefox and browse to it, by the way, it's http://192.168.1.1, and that's got us there. So the username is root, and there is no password, so just log into the device. Okay, so that's brought us to the introduction, initial setup. You have to follow this wizard and just follow the menu on the left hand side. It will take you through it as you start from here, and you keep clicking next. So if we click start here, and we come to the configure system identification, so give it a host name, I'll call it SRX, give it a domain name, I'll give it chaffsec.com, and provide a root password. So I've specified a password, and then we can click next here. On this page, by the way, there's some stuff that is optional, and that's marked with an asterisk. So if we go back, you can see these asterisks. So that's mandatory. If there's no asterisk, then it's optional. So domain name is optional here. So click next again. So all this is optional, but we could provide a default gateway if we wanted to. So 10.10.20.50. We can specify DNS servers. The default gateway IP will override the gateway IP acquired through DHCP, which is fine. And there's a couple already in here for you, but you can put the Google one in as well. And click OK, click Add, sorry. So that's gone in there. And if your device can reach several different domains, you can configure these as a list of domains to be searched here. Basically, Junos then uses this list to set an order in which it appends domain names when searching for the IP address of a host. So you can do that from here, but we'll click next. And you come to the interface groups. Again, this is optional. You could have a look at the switch ports which are configured for VLAN ID 3, and you could change these around so you can take interfaces out of the VLAN, for example, like that. Click Save. We can also add further VLAN, so you give it a VLAN ID, you add the ports in here as well, and then you've created a new VLAN with switch ports. So I'll just cancel that and click next. So we've come to the configure interfaces, and here you can configure your layer 3 interfaces. So we've got VLAN 0, we've got a physical interface here, we've got another interface here, so we could double click that, and then you could configure this from here. You can change its DHCP or leave it as IP address, and you can also specify the services and the protocols that the interface will listen on, and also you can specify the security zones. So by default these are the security zones: trust, untrust, Junos host, and you can add a new security zone from here as well. Okay, we'll just cancel that and leave it as it is, and could click next. This page gives you the option to, once you log in, which page you will initially land on. Most probably the dashboard is the most common one. So every other security device, every other firewall I've seen, it's always the dashboard you land on first. Juniper have it on configure by default by the looks of it, because the dashboard takes a while to load. And the JWeb commit option, validate every time, and explicit commit in the end. So you want to validate any configuration changes, so I'll always go with the top option here and click next. And this is your time settings, so you can configure time settings, current system time, reset manually, configure it here. You can specify your time zone here. So for me it'd be Europe, London. Which is here. And optionally you can configure your NTP server as well here if you want to sync with an NTP server. Click next. Finally, you can review and commit your changes, so you can review it here before committing. Once clicking on committing, it will go away and configure the device. By the way, the JWeb interface is not the fastest device to use. Most engineers will probably prefer the command line. And enterprise companies actually use centralized management systems such as NSM or Junos Space Security Director. So it's putting the changes in effect now. Once these are done, it will let us log in to the device. Okay, and let's refresh that. Usually it give you an option just to click OK, but it just timed out for some reason. So the username is root, and now we have to specify the password we configured in the wizard. So if I specify my password, login, that should log me into the device. Again, as I mentioned, it's quite a slow product, and it's come to the dashboard screen. So you could see the overall dashboard screen, so system identification, the system alarms, the resource utilization, and security resources. We'll have a look at all of these options in another video. Thank you for watching.